The rise of AI.
The future of AI is murky at best, and we're going to get into it.
Let me put it to you this way. We have created a new species, and nobody on Earth can predict what's going to happen.
Hello, and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis.
I'm Michael.
And we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today, we're talking about AI again. We've been on a kick of talking about AI. We reviewed Ex Machina and Companion just more recently. Story of having companions that are robots. There's a discussion, Diary of a CEO. He has a panel of three guys, Amjad, Masad, who is the founder of Replit, and Daniel Priestley, who is an entrepreneur and a fan favorite. We probably know more of Bret Weinstein, and he has all three of them on to discuss AI, its implications, and we're just going to kind of use that as a jumping off point for our own discussion.
I think a lot of people don't realize how massive the positive impact AI is going to have on their life.
Well, I would argue that the idea that this AI disruption doesn't lead us to human catastrophe is optimistic. For example, people are going to be unemployed in huge numbers.
You agree with that, don't you?
Yes, if your job is as routine as it comes, it's gone in the next couple of years. But it's going to create new opportunities for wealth creation.
Yeah, it's a fascinating discussion. The name of the episode is AI Agents Emergency Debate on the Diary of a CEO. You and I, we've been interested in this ever since ChatGPT was invented or launched, I should say. You and I have long discussions about this kind of stuff, mainly because of the implications in most pop culture. How, you know, the Matrix is all about how the end of the world is going to happen through robots and AI. So,
a lot of movies. I mean,
yeah, tons
Matrix, Terminator, iRobot.
So, because this is kind of on everybody's minds, this is a good discussion to have. Bret Weinstein is probably the one that we know the most from this panel. He's a biologist, and he is the naysayer in most of this discussion, mainly because
the pessimist, you could say.
Yeah, the pessimist. He's mainly because he is a biologist with a speciality in natural systems.
As he would say, complex systems.
Complex systems, yes. And his whole thing is we don't know the unforeseeable consequences of AI-generated agents.
There are a lot of people who are very excited about AI, most of which, it seems to me, are people who have a financial bias because they are invested in these.
Hello, I like money.
Yes.
Obviously, Amjad, in this discussion, he's owner of Replit, who they talk about using. Steven talks about using it. Steven is the
host of the
CEO.
show.
And I think Bret has a really good point in the fact that a lot of people do have these kind of rose-colored glasses on because they are
they're invested in it. Everybody who's got a vested interest in it is excited about it, and everybody who doesn't have a vested interest in it is kind of skeptical.
A lot of people are using it, and a lot of people are just like, wow, this is amazing. I can use this on so much stuff. It's going to save me so much time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to save me workers. Like, I don't have to hire people to do this now.
Mm-hmm.
Like they talk about that, like several of them had already had instances where they probably would have hired a few people in order to do something when they didn't need to because of these AI systems.
Yeah.
So they're already talking about job displacement or
well, there's a lot of job displacement. Like, they go down a list of job displacements that this will cause, and they're not shy about saying it either. What they said is any mundane job will be eliminated. within 5-10 years, probably.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I actually asked ChatGPT to walk me through some of the job disruption. It went through the most affected industries, and it says number one will be administrative and office support. It will probably get where if you have an office of, I don't know, 10 people that do X, chances are that office will be 2 people using AI to do X.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. The way I think of it sometimes is like you go to Walmart, they still do sometimes have these cashiers lined out, but then you've got one cashier that's like overlooking all the self-checkout.
Yes.
That's probably a little bit of how this will look in the next few years, is just one person kind of overseeing
the system,
AI
like either AI systems or basic robots.
They say, what is it? GAI, General Artificial Intelligence systems that can figure out tasks.
Yeah.
Now, ChatGPT is just a language model. It's not really like doing coding for you. It's not making apps for you. It's not problem solving. And then also using your credit card to order water, which in this discussion, they talk about how he basically gives it a command, get me some water. And it does it. It orders him some water, gives some instructions to the guy delivering it from like CVS.
At this point, they still need real people, right? So when they do this example, this demonstration, they still need a guy to deliver it, right? So there's still that job, but it's one job. And that guy, the delivery guy, he basically reads instructions and then goes and does those instructions for the AI system, or the AI system that Steven Bartlett uses during this discussion to prove a point about how easy it was. Essentially,
when it comes to online things, languages, coding, things in the digital world. Yeah, that's probably the stuff that's going to go first. I actually think we're probably a ways away from robots actually taking over your step and file or your labor, those kinds of things. We're probably a ways away from that.
It's interesting to think that they do say the most mundane jobs will disappear. And then they also talked about in the medical field, it would be like people who read MRI scans, those will be taken over by AI. It is a little scary that there may be quite a bit job displacement if this continues in the direction that it's continuing. And that's Bret's issue. Bret Weinstein's issue is he's basically talking about the unforeseen consequences of displacing a massive amount of people. And he's attributing it to that it'll be a lot like the Industrial Revolution. What the Industrial Revolution did for 50 years to England was catastrophic. It was a lot of orphans. They even mentioned Charles Dickens. All of his novels are about the Industrial Revolution and how
it was a time. It was a time that this was happening.
Yes,
and it was a huge issue.
Yeah, it displaced so many people. People didn't have jobs. They went from being farmers to being factory workers, and it was a huge change in the economic situation of many, 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 many people. And that's what Bret is saying. This will happen to people now if AI takes over all these jobs.
Yeah. Let me just continue on down the list. Transportation and logistics. Yeah, transportation is going to be a huge one because transportation, I want to say it's like number 2 in the most jobs in America. It's number 2 or 3.
It's the easiest job that a foreigner can get. If you know how to drive a vehicle, you can come to this country and get a job driving a vehicle.
That would take time for all of the trucks and everything to become automated.
Well, it would take a huge corporation like Amazon to do it, because even Amazon now, and where there are certain warehouses that are completely automated.
Yeah, probably a warehouse. It's got like 2 guys in it.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they
and they have a bunch of like robots on a grid.
yep.
I've seen video of it. Like
Yeah,
robots
yeah.
on this grid, and they pile stuff into these robots, and those robots go and pile it into a truck to get delivered.
Manufacturing, I would think, would be a little bit down the list. I could be wrong. And it depends on the manufacturing.
How complex is it? If it's a cell phone, it's going to take way longer to build than a keychain or something like
Right.
that. So basically, I would imagine that what's going to happen is there's going to be these small, like very disposable trinkets that'll be built by AI systems
Mm,
that will be sold for like, I don't know, $3 all across the world or whatever. And
Sure.
I mean, I would
that might
imagine.
have something to do with that. And then number 4 says retail, inventory management, customer service, and cashier tasks are being automated. So yeah, that's
So that's already happening. So you
Yeah.
call customer service, you are going to be hard pressed to actually talk to a human.
most likely talking to a robot.
Yeah.
It might get to the point where you can't tell if you're talking to
a human
or a robot. That's going to be the tough.
Yeah,
That'll be
because
kinda
the large
crazy.
language models are already working. So call centers are going to go away. You're not going to have a room full of a bunch of people on a phone in cubicles. What you're going to have is a data system that people call, and this particular AI that they just give a name to, it's going to be like, oh, hello, Mrs. Whoever. I am your helpful AI for today. And then
Hmm.
she's going to do her complaining, and that's going to be it.
And I think what's also funny is I think we more and more will get used to it. Like
Oh, yeah.
I've told this story before, but I was doing some training with a guy in Phoenix, Arizona. We saw a car go by with no driver in it. They're allowing so many non or automated driving vehicles on the road. So they're allowing for so many automated vehicles on the road. One, it weirded me out. It kind of freaked us out a little bit. We watched it go, and it parked, and people got out and they went to the restaurant.
The university there in Flagstaff, I saw a robot walking down the sidewalk. It looked kind of like a dog. It was a delivery system. It was a food delivery system. So somebody orders it. It has a code on it. It goes to the dorm room. And this was at the university. So, and I saw that and I was like, holy crap. And I guess they were all over the place at the university level. So,
Well,
I mean, that's a future, but I don't know if that's AI. That's just an autonomous robot that has a place to go on a map.
my point being is that more and more will get used to it.
Yeah.
My kids will probably see a car drive by without somebody in the front seat,
And it
they'll just
won't
be
freak
like,
them.
Like
Yeah.
to me, it freaked me out. I'm just like, that is weird, dude. I would never get in a vehicle that didn't have somebody in the front seat. That's just weird.
That's weird.
Financing and accounting, that makes sense because AI will be taking over that. Legal services.
Whoa. Legal services.
Yeah,
Like
paralegals.
Okay.
Legal researchers.
So it's not, you wouldn't be able to, like, if you were in a murder case or something like that, they wouldn't use a
trial. My guess would be trial lawyers
will stay.
They're probably good, but even their billable hours will probably be cut down significantly because most of the billable hours are
filing
stuff.
Are paperwork
filing
stuff. So filing
that kind of stuff. Yep.
Yeah, and filling stuff out. So I
it
would
really
imagine
probably will turn into one or two lawyers.
It's going to get rid of the secretary. You won't have a secretary anymore, or in probably not a personal assistant anymore. Like you'll need somebody to go get your dry cleaning, but if it's a delivery dry cleaning place, then you just deliver to you,
right?
And so you're going to end up getting rid of the personal assistant. I mean, the post office system. This may kill the post office system, or at least United States Postal Service. It's already a dying entity, I should say.
Media and content creation, content generated and curation can be done by generative AI tools.
Editing.
It'll
get rid of editing. You'll put a prompt in and tell it what you want, and your videos, for the people on the top, like Steven Bartlett, who's got like 10 million subscribers, he probably will end up getting rid of his editors.
Well, he talked about it. He said he made one that was AI generated of him talking to somebody.
Yeah, okay.
And those videos got a very high retention as well. So people were watching those. That's what Steven talks about.
Well, the deep fakes thing is what's scary. Like that, because this was probably 10 years ago that Joe Rogan had it was a 20-minute conversation with Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs had been dead for 3 or 4 years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, deep fakes is a whole nother thing. Like that's scary.
I think that will drive in person.
Yeah. Well,
like
and
concert like stuff.
Yes. Bret talks about this. He says that the authenticity, it will be the coin of the realm, is what he says. So the authenticity of in-person communication will be more important than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
He said something along the lines of like a comedy show. Comedy shows are going to be way more important because they won't be previously recorded, and they won't be put out as specials anymore. You'll have to go to a live comedy show because nobody will believe the authenticity of it if it's recorded.
That will be interesting to see where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It says healthcare, selective roles. So radiology, diagnostics, and administrative tasks.
Yep.
And they do talk about that. So, and they talk about how anesthesiologist is one of the higher paid medical fields,
mm-hmm.
and that could significantly be diminished by
AI.
Well,
and that's what's got me a little weirded out, because I think the speciality of it is what's like the human component of it, because right before a surgery, you'll have an anesthesiologist come in and talk to you. He'll talk about your weight and your diet and all this kind of thing. So that plays into what he's going to give you to put you to sleep. And if he gives you too much, it'll kill you. If he doesn't give you enough, you'll wake up during the surgery. So that's pretty specific. And I wonder if that is actually something that we would trust with an AI system taking over.
You're all going to die down here.
A good anesthesiologist never has a patient wake up during a surgery or one die. Are we willing to go to that extreme with an AI system? I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting to talk to somebody in the medical field about that, because that kind of weirds me out. It's like life and death with an anesthesiologist. Do we trust that? I mean, driving is life and death, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is, like, it'll be weird to us, but over time, it won't be very weird to the younger generation coming up.
Yeah.
It'll just be part of how things are.
Okay. So here's a great analogy. Nobody of the younger generation knows how to drive a stick shift. Stick shift driving is gone. That could be the same for driving in general. You're going to have a generation of people that don't know how to drive a car.
Self-driving will be the norm. It could turn into the fact that self-driving cars will be the norm, and people driving will be.
It'll be like speciality.
The insurance industry will help change that, because eventually what will happen is you'll go to get some insurance and they'll be like, are all your vehicles self-driving or do you drive? And if you drive, they're going to charge you more.
They're going to charge you more. Wow. That's interesting to think about.
Do you think about me when we aren't together?
I just asked what industries will be more safe than others. And it says, great question. While no industry is completely immune to AI disruption, Interesting. Some are more resistant due to the need for human empathy or judgment, physical dexterity in unstructured environments, creative problem solving, high levels of interpersonal interaction.
Complexity. So anything complex is not going to go away.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned this. They mention it like if it's mundane, it will go away. And that's because if it's mundane, that just means an AI system can do it if it's a repetitive thing.
Mm-hmm. Rebar work is going to probably not go away in the construction fields. Like framework is... the idea of a robot having the dexterity to be able to build a house,
to move around a construction site and things like that. Not to say that it won't ever happen, but I think
it won't happen soon.
We're talking from there.
We're talking within like 10 years, all these different jobs go away. This is what's most interesting, and I think mostly affects you and me, because Bret's getting into all sorts of like, if we disrupt all this, is it going to be like the French Revolution where only the rich are getting their needs met and the poor lose out on their jobs, and so they become poorer? I mean, there's already a widening gap between the rich and the poor in this country. It's like, does this make that even wider? And when you disrupt it enough to the point where people want to have a revolution, that you're talking about the French Revolution. You're talking about absolute chaos where they just start killing willy-nilly to whatever aristocrat there is.
They talk about how most people who are using it or to use in their lives are college educated. So there's already kind of a disparity
between people who are using it and people who are not using it.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah, that's wild. Let's get into your theory.
Is just thought process. Aaron Clarey wrote a book, A World Without Men, where he talks about if the extreme feminists got their way and men are not needed and we just got rid of them all, what would that world look like? And he kind of goes over just fields that are predominantly female and fields that are predominantly male. He talks a little bit about construction. Specifically, he goes over road construction is 98% male.
Yeah.
But then he kind of points out that even that 2% of females that are part of the road construction industry, most of them probably aren't even on the road actually doing the road construction. Most of them are probably holding signs.
Yo, what's up with these shoes, bro? Nice job. If you're gonna be a clown, at least you can be a good one. You know that, right?
Or clerical work, things like that. So
due to like strength,
upper body strength, grip strength.
He's not trying to be sexist. He's just being a realist in this moment. And most of the industry of the construction industry is predominantly men. And so the book is very interesting because he gets into these ideas that there are all these emerging jobs for women to become independent of men. And that's okay, but AI kind of disrupts this.
It's possible that AI may have a higher disruption rate for
fields dominated by women
than men. I mean, if bricklayers and plumbers and construction workers,
electricians
are just a little bit behind the curve when it comes to how badly those will be disrupted, then secretaries and administrative work. Even HR will probably be cut down a ton. Because rather than have like an HR manager with like 5 other HR workers underneath them, you'll probably only need just one HR person.
And then that person
everything else can be done.
AI agent.
I could be wrong, but it seems like it's possible, might disrupt more female dominated fields than other male dominated fields.
So they even talk about this in the Diary of a CEO episode that we're speaking of. They talk about teaching. they talk about how teaching can become like you can actually get rid of a lot of teachers when you have one teacher who teaches an entire course and children learn through their iPads or whatever that course. And then
they'd have AI tutors.
They'd have AI tutors
basically.
And they say that the children who were tutored are more likely to learn quicker. So if you have an AI tutor, you're basically getting rid of the teacher. And that is probably one of the biggest dominated fields of women in our society. There are more teachers and nurses that are female than any other industry, I believe. And women can't make an income. Then what happens is they fall to the man in the relationships to provide, and even their jobs. So say it's a teacher and a construction worker. The teacher gets laid off because of AI, but even the construction worker 20 years down the road probably is going to get laid off for a robot,
because
a robot that's able to lay rebar or whatever. And the laying rebar is extremely physically demanding work, but it also requires dexterity of your hands. So you got to tie rebar together. And as of right now, there are no robots that could do that. But if they could do it, if they could make those robots,
I mean, within the next 20, 25 years or something, we possibly could be there. If robots are replacing humans, there's a good chance that the GDP will actually go up. Like what we produce could actually go up. And there might actually become I hate the word utopian, but there's a lot of things that could come from this where people are able to not do a lot.
Well, that's just lazy.
But we have experienced very problematic issue of purposeless people, and specifically purposeless men, because men tie their purpose into their jobs a lot more than women do. And when men are thrown away from their jobs, they're more likely to have deaths of despair than women would. And so what are we looking? So we still might be looking at a world without men if all of the jobs that go away and then men go away because they've lost all their jobs. I mean,
maybe this turns into a natural shift. Now, hear me out, because what if through time we see a shift of predominantly women careers, jobs gets taken over by AI? So what do? They end up back home with maybe a UBI of some kind, a universal basic income of some kind. And what else are they going to do? But they start raising kids, and it actually gives them something to do. It gives them some fulfillment in life. So they start raising kids. Well, I mean, the men of the world are still out working, but then they get slowly replaced by robots. And maybe what do? Maybe they go home and raise kids too. Like, maybe this actually
turns people into baby makers. So you get paid to make babies.
Maybe it just turns the ship around in the sense that I don't know. I don't know. It goes back to the philosophical analogy. When people are given everything they need in life and their only purpose is to perpetuate the species, they end up breaking shit just to see shit break. They would want to break it all down just so that they could.
So that I don't remember what philosopher said that, but it's a famous quote, and he basically was pointing to the fact that if we were given everything in life, we'd still break it down because human beings need challenges. And this is a challenge. This is obviously a challenge that they're trying to overcome.
Raising kids is a challenge.
Raising kids is a challenge, yes.
That's a bingo.
I don't know. That seems like a world
that's being very optimistic.
Yeah,
let's just say
optimistic.
That's being very optimistic.
And I think Bret was trying to get to a point where what he was saying is that there's no way for us to predict what's happening here in this realm because it's never been done. he's like, we've created a new species. We've created a new species, and we have no idea what they're.
It's so much smarter than us.
That's smarter than us, and we have no idea what the unintended consequences will be of it. Like, if you look at the artist renderings of the 2000s from the 1960s, have you ever seen any of those? Like, somebody had made, an artist had dreamed up what the 2000s would look like in 1960.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like what it would look.
Yeah.
So there's no way that we can predict what's going to happen in 60 years. You know, just no way. And the thing that Bret keeps going to is it's the scale and the speed at which this is happening is disruptive. He's like, we need to give people time to catch up, and they're not getting time to catch up. We're still dealing with everybody's addictions to their phones. We're still trying to deal with that addiction, right?
Yeah, he's a evolutionary biologist, and he's like, evolution takes time. That's the one of the cohorts of evolution, is that it takes time. And this is so fast and so adaptive that,
and on scale, it's scaling. You and I are talking like robots won't replace rebar workers, bridge builders in the next 10 years. But what if they do? What if it happens so fast? What if this AI thing happens so fast that the large language models that they've just made,
AIs are making AI robots.
Yes, AI
and
robots.
Now it scales.
It scales really, really fast, to the point where not only women are losing their jobs, but men are all losing their jobs too, because men do most of the physical labor in our society right now. What happens if they bring out a robot that was built by an AI system and now that robot has AI system in it? What if it is so good at putting up bridges that they do it in weeks rather than months? Because I'm all for that. I don't know if you drive through construction often, but it is a pain in the ass. And it's a construction that takes months. Like, you're going through, like, if you have a commute and you drive through the same construction for months before it's done. What if they could do that in weeks, days?
No, I do not deny that efficiency
is the name of the game. Like,
they would be way more efficient.
They would,
work way faster, way harder.
They wouldn't have to take breaks.
Hours,
they wouldn't take breaks.
Take breaks.
You would
the whole 9 yards.
You'd get rid of the braking system. You would have bridges up within a couple of weeks. I mean, you'd only be limited to how fast the concrete has to dry, and you'd only be limited to those kind of scenarios.
Yep.
Wow. That's crazy to think about.
It is still a little bit dystopian, even when you look at like how cool it could be. By nature, I think I'm more of an optimist, but I think I agree with Bret on this one. Bret's just like, guys, we just don't know how bad this is probably going to be.
Well, but like that, I don't know if they used this example, but in the early 2000s, there's no way we would have known the addiction that a phone would cause. And there are people addicted to their phones, addicted to social media. And that is a unforeseen consequence of something that we thought was going to be really, really great for society. He even gets into corn. He talks about that has not been good for society. The access to the amount of corn on the internet has made men sedated in their own lives, so they don't pursue any goals in life because they're getting everything they need from their phone. And the issue is that is an unforeseen consequence of a really great thing. And what AI is probably this really great thing, but what are the unforeseen consequences of AI? And that's Bret's, like, that's his whole thing in this discussion.
Yeah. And there could be a myriad of unforeseen consequences, but job displacement, I think, is the first of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I concur, sir. I concur, sir.
I think that's going to be the first thing.
But because we are seeing it, does it not happen? The fact that we are aware of it and conscious of it and we're going to try to mitigate it, does it just not happen? Maybe the displacement doesn't actually happen. Maybe it's not necessarily displacement. Maybe that we create systems where, the teacher's going to be replaced in this so many years. We'll start training them to do this instead. We'll make systems where they're trained out of their own jobs.
Well,
because we're aware of it, right? Where everybody's concerned about it.
It depends on the individuals, right? It depends on what they're going to
their capability
study and how they're going to pivot. Dan talks about this, where there's a picture of New York in 1900, all carriages, horse-drawn carriages. 13 years later, same picture,
from the same place, all cars,
automobiles. And so if you're a horse breeder in 1900,
the person who was training horses back then, they probably had a 10-year period where they stopped training horses and maybe started working on automobiles or whatever it was.
Yeah, doing something different of some kind. Yeah.
And Bret goes, but the scale is different. This is happening way faster. It's happening faster than a person can learn a new skill.
You got skills.
But if this happens in 6 months, what are we looking at?
How do you pivot in that time frame?
That
rather than over 13 years?
Yeah. If we are aware of it and everybody's kind of conscious of it, then what we could do is, so we invent this teacher system that's taking one of the best teaching methods and putting it into schools. And so it's going to replace teachers, right? So if we know that going in, maybe that same system they provide, since you guys aren't going to be doing this anymore, we're going to teach you how to do something else.
Son of a bitch!
But how long does it take to teach a person a new task, especially if you've been doing this teaching thing for 13 years or 10 years or 20 years?
Yeah.
Maybe being conscious of it just is part of the battle.
I mean, it's like we saw this with the writers' strike, where they were fighting pretty hard to keep AI out of
movies
writing, and we may see a lot of that. What, good or bad, we might see a lot of teacher unions,
drivers,
we might see a lot of driver union. I mean, just a lot of unions and a lot of strikes.
Then if that happens, then if you put an AI system in, it doesn't matter if you have a strike.
Do you just replace them? It might actually drive it.
It might
forward.
drive it. If you strike against it, it might actually drive it forward.
And then somebody throws in a few AI systems, and then all of a sudden it's all right,
you're out
cool.
of a job.
Hey, Paulie, what's up? No, everything's fine. Hey, listen, I quit.
A lot of people get the idea that AIs can't be creative,
but AIs
can be creative.
AI produced pictures, some of them are very beautiful.
Yeah. People who are in education that are being displaced, they could probably shift into mental health work and social work.
And I get this. I bet you as AI takes over jobs, mental health declines. The mental health issues probably go up in scale.
Humans want,
because we've already seen we've already seen problems with our phones, right? There's already mental breakdowns because of social media and stuff like that. So what's to say that once AI gets integrated into our society completely, it doesn't do the same thing to humans? That's going to be that's scary. That's scary to think about.
Mm-hmm.
More deaths of despair than we're already getting right now. Can you imagine?
Mm. Yeah. Be prepared.
Well,
be ready.
I think what's happening here is we need to kind of take stock, maybe. Like if you know that you're in an industry that might be jeopardized by this, maybe it's time to pivot to something else.
Pivot! Pivot! Pivot!
Well, and use ChatGPT in as much of your life as possible, because that is one thing they talked about is like people who use it versus people who don't.
Mm-hmm.
And people who use it are going to exponentially get ahead versus the people who don't. Yeah.
There's no way to really predict any of it. And that's what Bret's point is that there's just no way to predict how things are going to go. As soon as we start trying to predict it, it shifts. There's some kind of shift in everything. You got to be prepared for the shift, I guess.
Yep.
Check us out on social media, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look for The Sword in the Skull.
If you liked this, you're the audience we're looking for.
In the meantime, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. We'll see you, brother.
See ya.
There you go, son. Now get out of here. You're bothering me.